You just made the list.
And welcome to The List, the debut edition of The List from the Coming Down the Aisle family. Each month we'll have a bonus episode and bring you all the fun debates and top 10 lists that wrestling fans love to create. And each month I'll be joined, of course, like I mentioned at the top of the show, with the Ultimate Miles and the OG Fig Kid. What's up, fellas?
How's it going?
Yo.
We're back, man. I had so much fun with that Macho Man episode, and I'd been looking kind of over the last couple months to I need like a bonus. I want to do a bonus episode each month, and I think this is a perfect opportunity. That Macho Man, I think we clicked so well together.
Yeah,
that this is just something we can do each month. So I mentioned this. I did an intro before y'all came on, but it's going to be 25 years starting. I think Thursday of Austin 316.
Wow.
Feel old yet?
Listen, I remember when Hulkamania was born. You want to talk about feeling old?
Yeah, I mean, they've been hyping up that it's been 25 years of the NWO, so I forget it's the same month.
Yeah.
Austin 316.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I thought, this is a good time in any, right? Let's talk about some Stone Cold. Stone Cold!
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah!
Oh, hell yeah! Man, so, just initially, Miles, what is your very first memory of Steve Austin? Not Stone Cold, but Steve Austin.
I remember I rented Bash at the Beach 94 when he was Stunning Steve and he wrestled with Steamboat, and not even realizing that was the same guy that I'd been watching. He'd been on Raw.
Right.
I mean, at that point I was watching Raw and Nitro, not realizing. I'm like,
I know.
Oh man.
I know. That was me too.
Back then I was like 8. So I did the same thing when I realized that Diesel was Kevin Nash, and you know what I mean? I was like, oh, that's the same guy. Or Big Bubba was the big boss. You know what I mean? I started clicking they just change their name sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was the same way. I don't know. I just it was like one day I had an epiphany, and I think I went back somehow, maybe through tape trading or something. Mm-hmm. I found an old tape of the Hollywood Blondes. I'm like, wait, that's Stone Cold. So yeah. Change the name, but I did. As soon as that happened, I'm like, man, I didn't like that guy in WCW.
No, that's the thing. Even when I first saw him in WWF, I wasn't a fan. I thought he was boring because that was kind of before. That was kind of before he was feuding with Bret, so he wasn't quite Stone Cold yet.
Right.
At least to me, he might have. I think at that point he might have already done the promo at King of the Ring, but. I wasn't. It didn't click for me yet.
Right. Well, what about you, Tom? What's your very first memory?
You know what? I don't remember him in WCW at all. I remember when Ted DiBiase anointed him the $1 Million Champion again, and he was the ringmaster. I remember him and Savio Vega having a feud, and Savio Vega in a strap match, just dragging him around the ring and tapping each corner.
I remember a lot of those Savio matches, and those were fast forward era for me.
Yeah. They weren't great, but like you said earlier, he was kind of building the character. We were getting to where we were at. When we got to Austin 316 a little bit. Took a little while, but kind of the same thing. Like I mentioned, my initial memories. Obviously WCW, but. It wasn't until probably 98, 99 until I realized, that's the same guy. And but I could vividly remember, when Austin 316 happened, King of the Ring, 1996, being a little surprised he won. What were your memories of that King of the Ring and anything else? I thought Jake the Snake. I remember I'm a kid, but I thought Jake the Snake was Jake the Snake's to lose.
I definitely thought Vader was going to win. I mean, yeah, he got DQ'd against Jake, So then it was kind of like, well, now Jake's going to win because they made him look, the sympathy kind of like route. Right. So when Stone Cold won, I was kind of like, well, it was kind of like when Mabel won, I wasn't expecting him to win King of the Ring.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was like there was other guys where I'm like, oh, it's definitely going to be him. It's definitely going to be him. But Stone Cold kind of came in and took Triple H's thunder, they say.
Right. I want to bring that up. Yeah.
That came up again recently, and I was like, oh, God.
Yeah.
If you go listen to, we did an episode on a debate show about what happens if Triple H doesn't get punished, and because he was supposed to win that, and that promo's never cut. What happens to Austin 316?
Right.
It's very interesting, it's all based on the curtain call, and I actually had one of the guys that filmed the curtain call on. And, he actually mentioned, see, the curtain call, it wasn't because it was filmed and then the footage got out. Triple H would have been punished anyway. No matter what, if the video.
Oh, yeah.
It took months for that video to actually surface. They didn't even realize there was that video that surfaced. It got into the hands of Shawn Michaels. I think right around, it might have been taken like a year or something like that. Right around 97, and but it was just the whole act. You're in Madison Square Garden, and yada yada yada. Everybody knows how that goes, right? But we're here to kind of talk about Stone Cold,
and a lot of guys were not happy about that.
Right? Think about it. Not everybody had their iPhones and their smartphones then. The internet wasn't what it was, or else it would have been all over that night.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and then I actually talked about that. It was probably one of the first viral videos in wrestling history, pretty much.
And it's like I remember as a fan just seeing that like the kayfabe was broken. It's like, whoa, what's going on in a ring? Like, that's crazy. So
exactly. So, we're here. We'll I don't know. We're going to talk about some moments and some matches. So. Thomas, why don't you kick us off? We'll give us with your number 10 here. And
all right, so I did a list. It's a combination of matches and moments because with Stone Cold, some of his promos were just as good or if not better than matches. So I started off with the 1997 Royal Rumble appearance where he eliminated 10 people. He eliminated the last 3 he eliminated in that Rumble to win were the Undertaker, Vader, and Bret Hart.
Well, and that's the one where he cheated. He cheated.
He's sitting there. Yeah.
Oh damn, kid! When are you gonna bring me another one?
Yeah.
And then he also, whenever Bret comes out, he goes the.
Yeah.
Because they were having that feud. Yeah, that was an excellent. That was super, man. That's definitely one for the books. That's probably what really started. Kind of getting that groundswell going of Austin 316, or just Stone Cold in general. Because of course later on he goes on to face Bret at WrestleMania that year, and that's where he becomes super babyface. But then he's a heel, and again, I don't expect him to win that Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
What are y'all guys' takes on that?
No, I didn't expect him to win it back then. He wasn't. It was like, whoa, what's going on here?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to me, he's not a top guy.
No, it was definitely their way of kind of putting him in that top guy area with those guys. Because then they did the main event at Fatal 4-Way,
right?
Where it was a repeat of the Fatal, the last 4 guys.
Exactly.
And it was. I don't know. Kind of like what they did with DDP, with him winning the title. He couldn't just win it. He had to be in a 4-way with other big names.
Yeah.
See how he worked, to see how the reactions were. And if you look at it now, he's basically the biggest star out of all those 4 now.
Yeah, and that's something we haven't talked to yet. I mean, talked about yet too much. I mean, I look at Austin as a bigger draw than Hogan. Now, compared to The Rock, hindsight 20. I mean, at the time, yes, Austin, of course, is a bigger draw. But now in 2021, do you put Austin as the biggest money grabber of the in the wrestling industry, or do you put The Rock there?
Vince himself says Stone Cold made him more money than anyone.
Yeah,
And it's crazy if you look at Stone Cold's run; it wasn't really that long.
No.
Like it was just a small win. Like you look back at it and you're like, wow, that's all it was. But there were so many things, and him taking a time off for his neck surgery. You don't realize how short it really was.
right,
And he retired so young, and we had no clue he was retiring when he did.
right.
So
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, but that's pretty crazy. What you got for number 9?
So for number 9, I have Brian Pillman shooting him in his house when he broke in. You can't have a list of moments of Stone Cold and not have that. So you remember it cutting out on him. You don't know what happened after you hear the gunshot. It comes back and they're dragging him out. So
yeah, that was pretty classic there. I mean, you had what was it? When Austin 316 meets Glock 9mm. Brian F. and Pillman. Yeah, that was as a kid, I never. So and at least for my generation, for me, we saw guns on TV. You see that. You had your NYPD Blues. You had at that time. You just see guns on TV. So for me, it wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah,
and they make it as like this big, huge thing. Like, oh my god, like, oh, how could they? I think that's more sensationalism to kind of. I mean, it was a great moment. Don't get me wrong, but I think it was to boost the moment up. Like, oh my god, look, did you see how crazy this was?
If anything,
what do you guys take?
That Stone Cold was trying to do a B&E at Brian Pillman's house. He breaks the window in. I was like, whoa, man, that's his house.
Yeah. It was wild. And then he had those two guys in front of his house, and he just beat the crap out of them. His like guards or whatever, like some jesters or whatever. Yeah. Okay. Cool. What we got for number 8?
Number 8 is WrestleMania 17. The match was epic, and then the heel turn afterwards.
Okay, that's kind of interesting. You got that kind of low.
I probably should have put a little higher. I don't know. You know what? Just that heel turn at the end was kind of like weird.
I didn't like it.
Yeah, it was like the match was great, but
the match was phenomenal.
The match was that best match, but then the heel turn afterwards kind of like.
Well, and I agree with you, but if you take the match out of it in a vacuum, right? The match itself, I mean that in some way defines Austin because it's like he's coming back from the neck surgery. He's going to do whatever he takes to win, even if it means he's in line with Mcmahon.
I think that would have saved everything in that match is if he aligned with Vince and then stunned him at the end and was just. Kind of like he was in '97, where he was like a tweener heel, but he was
that would have been more true to Stone Cold.
That would have made so much more sense if they would have seemed like he was aligning with Vince and they were cheers and beers and last second right before it cuts, stunner.
Right.
Yeah.
Suck it, Vince. Get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. Very possible. I don't know. It's just. I love that match. I mean, just with everything that went on. I mean the way it was built, the video package. That's my favorite WrestleMania of all time. And number 8, that's interesting. That's cool. Number 7.
Number 7, the cement into the Corvette, into Vince's Corvette. You think about War and Stone Cold moments, and that's right up there with any of them.
Yeah, man. Tom knows, I don't think you know this, Miles, but recently I just got a new job, and it is dealing with concrete. And I can tell you, backing up a concrete truck is hard, okay? Oh, I don't drive them, but I got to wave them down, and yeah, it is pretty intense. Yeah, that was just a random Raw, if I remember right. Is that correct?
It was just a random Raw. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm trying to. It was just to kind of fuel the storyline, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just the whole McMahon Austin era.
Yeah. That was such classic. And he even says himself, it's hard to back that thing up and try to get it in place. So, yeah, pretty cool. All right, what you got for number 6?
The beer bath. Like, what an epic moment that is. It's been duplicated twice already.
Yeah.
With the Kurt Angle and with the Inner Circle on AEW. Like, that's...
Yeah.
You know you've made an impact when you have people, even WWE tried to duplicate it, but they did it in fun. But then AEW brings it out this year.
Mm-hmm.
So,
with the bubbly, yeah.
Yeah. And just seeing McMahon and them just squirming all around. that was the best. That'll always be the best one,
Right. That promo, too, was actually... that promo, to me, was probably... At that time, probably the single greatest promo I saw up until the pipe bomb. For me, at least. Because, man, it was just so classic. He goes, I'm going to check my ass down the Jabroni Drive, Know Your Role Boulevard, get into the SmackDown Hotel, check into room 316, and burn that son of a bitch down the ground. Oh, man, for me, as a 13-year-old, I'm like, hell yeah! Yeah, so that was definitely great. Miles, any thoughts on that?
Just same thing. I was a little younger than you. I was 11, and I couldn't think that guy was any cooler. Drank beer like my dad. Everyone flying around everywhere. It was like you couldn't. As much as wrestling is wrestling, you can't. It's like it could never be duplicated.
Yeah.
Drove a beer truck to the ring and blasted everyone with it. Yeah, exactly. I remember just laughing. My dad happened to catch it and thought it was cool because beer was involved. And
right.
It's one of those moments where you enjoy wrestling and someone catches it with you and they're like, "This is what's going on,"
Well, for my generation, we went through the DARE program, right? And I can remember very vividly. 11-year-old J-Bo, I'm like, oh, I suddenly swear I will not drink beer. And then when I saw Stone Cold, I'm like, give me a damn beer.
Yeah, if anything, I was going to drink a beer one day.
Number 5.
Number 5, WrestleMania 14, beating Shawn Michaels.
Okay. All right.
The Austin era has begun. JR yelled out at the end.
And this one, I love this match, actually, and it doesn't get a whole lot of love from Stone Cold himself. I don't either. I love this match for so many reasons. You got HBK in it, who's my all-time favorite. You got Stone Cold. I mean, and then you're literally ushering in a new era. I remember. So there was a WrestleMania collection of tapes that came out right around this time, and the two that I picked up were WrestleMania 14 and WrestleMania 6 because those are my two favorite ones, and I'm like in heaven, These are two.
They had the gray belt border, right?
Right. Okay. Yeah. But I think I got that one pretty close to somewhere around there. Yep. I think number 5. Yep, I sure do. So, little preview. But yeah, that's about where I got that moment. Oops, I keep doing this. All right, number 4.
It's the Austin 316 promo at King of the Ring.
Wow.
Like I said, that was he won it the matches, but the thing everybody remembers from that night was the promo. Right. Him going up to Michael Hayes, who was he Doc Hendricks at the time? He wasn't Michael Hayes, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And he just cut that promo. And like we said, what happens if Triple H doesn't have that whole thing? He never cuts an Austin 316 promo.
We're not going to see Stone Cold, Yeah. 4. Interesting. Okay. All right. Any thoughts on that, Miles?
I mean, I definitely watched that. I went back and watched that.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, not realizing how big a deal it was then, but I'm like, oh, that's the first time you said it. But it's one of those things that's over glamorized now.
Right. Yeah. I agree with you on that too. Cause at the time I'm like, okay, he said Austin 316, but apparently it was a big deal,
not realizing that everybody at my school was going to have that on their shirt.
Right.
It's more now, it's so replayed now. He says it so because Austin 316. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
it sounds so perfect now.
Right.
But at the time, I didn't see it live. I didn't see it until I rented that.
Be interesting to see, like if it was on a SummerSlam or something, or even a WrestleMania.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
It was a King of the Ring. So not a lot. There were probably a lot of buys on that pay per view.
Listen, if you didn't have an Austin 316 shirt, were you really a wrestling fan?
Right.
No,
no. I think I had 3 in my day.
I definitely had. I had the original, and I pre-purchased it as an adult. So, and then I also had.
I have an Austin 316 sticker on my Jeep.
Yeah, STU. I've got Stone Cold University. That was my favorite one as a kid. So, yeah. I don't think you were. Number 3.
You got to go WrestleMania 13. The picture, the iconic picture of him with the blood over his head. He's passed out in the ring. The thank God he decided to go against Vince and he listened to Bret to Blade, because without that, it's not remembered like it was if you don't have that. It's just not. So
yeah,
I think that helps solidify what he became to be.
Yeah, that's that one, man. That is an all-time classic for me. And I mean, you take that match, whether it's Austin or not. That match is. We're here talking about Austin, but I mean that's a top 10 match for me, just in general.
Exactly.
And
a great match, a great Stone Cold match. It's just one of the best WrestleMania matches, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean the story that's told. I mean, that's not something you're going to see even today's standards. Maybe in AEW, but
the whole double switch thing. Where you can't really do that nowadays. It seems too formulaic or too forced.
I think you could probably do an AEW, but
probably you're not wrong about that.
But
WWE,
but not WWE, because we watched the pay per view last night. I mean, it was so predictable. I hate to give the current stuff, but you're right. It's just so you're going to see it from a mile away if it's in WWE. Number 2.
All right. So, side note: for some reason, my list on my phone did not sync from my computer. So things are a little out of order. So this isn't really number 2, but I'm just throwing this in here because this was supposed to be lower on the list. But when he had Vince in the ring with the Bang 316 and Vince pissed his pants.
Yes.
How could you not forget that? Austin 316. No, McMahon 316 says, "I just pissed my pants."
Yeah.
I had the poster of that when I was a kid.
Yeah. That's so. Where would you put that one at?
I mean, I had it
off the top of your head.
I had it as number 8 on here.
Oh, right. Okay.
I don't know what happened. Why my phone and the computer didn't sync. Very frustrating.
No, it's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
All right. And your number 1.
The number 1, which was supposed to be number 2, was the Mike Tyson pull apart on Raw. That made headline news.
Sign language. Yeah. Oh man.
That was all over the major news on the newspapers. That was a major story.
Yeah.
So, and my number 1 was supposed to be the Bret Hart, him and the sharpshooter bleeding.
Okay. So Bret versus Austin was supposed to be number 1. So this one was supposed to be number 2.
Yep.
All right, we'll fix that. Right now, actually.
You want me to run down what it was supposed to be in the order?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Right.
Go ahead.
I'll go real quick for you. So number 10 was the Brian Pillman with the gun. Okay. Number 9 was the 97 Rumble.
Okay.
Number 8 was the Bang with the Austin Bang 316. 7 was WrestleMania 17, where Stone Cold turned bad, and then 6 was the Corvette.
Mm-hmm.
5 was the beer bath. 4 was WrestleMania 14, beating Shawn. 3 was the birth of Austin 316, the promo at King of the Ring. 2 was the Mike Tyson on Raw. And number 1 was the WrestleMania 13 versus Bret. If you want the true order of the way I wrote it up in.
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff, man. It's good stuff for sure. Well, now we can go over to Miles. Miles, the list master. What do you got, brother? For number 10.
I always have 5 runner-ups.
Okay, good.
To cover my bases. So I'll run through those real quick, and that's
do that.
When he beat Kane for the world title, back the Rock.
Okay.
Ring. versus Benoit versus Jericho for King of the Ring 01. The like weird triple threat handicap match. Dustin Rhodes Starrcade 93, 2 out of 3 falls match. That was one I went back and watched a lot. I had that Starrcade DVD.
I've never seen that match.
It's on the Starrcade DVD, and I watched that DVD a lot before the network came out. Yeah, before the network came out. Yeah. The King of the Ring match with Jake, where he beats Jake.
Okay.
And then versus The Rock at DX in your house.
Oh,
interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just watched it recently, and it was.
That was like,
pre-world champ Stone Cold, so he was really hot, and
that was when he drove that truck, right?
And he stuns everybody on the truck. I remember when I was a kid, I was like, man, this guy is cool.
See, and that's another thing for me. As a kid, I was obsessed with Z71 trucks. Me and my buddy of mine, and actually me and my buddy that watched wrestling. He doesn't watch anymore, but I was obsessed with these. So when I saw that, I'm like, oh well, Austin's the man. All right, so you're number 10. What you got?
So no, this is based off of match quality. So some of these, anyway, exactly. So number 10, I had versus Owen at SummerSlam when he got paralyzed. Because the match was good until the end, obviously, but
yeah,
the heat and at the time he hated Owen. That was like, I thought that was like prime Owen before he kind of got buried after Bret left. You know what I mean? Like Owen was still taken seriously. He wasn't a nugget, and it was a good match. I liked the match, minus him.
The crappy world. Yeah, it was a good story and whatnot. And
I
love that SummerSlam, so I'm always really that SummerSlam always hits me.
Yeah, it's really good. Owen, anything with Owen, I'm gonna love. So, yeah, that was good. And even you could even probably throw in the return match. At Survivor Series.
Yeah.
That was of course really good. One thing I remember though, I remember it was a WWF magazine, and it was Austin. It was like a picture of Austin in his hunting lodge or whatever, and he had Owen on as a trophy, a hunting trophy. It was a great picture there.
I think they used it for like a WWF shop zone, like how they always had the covers, the shop zone.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, and then of course that gave birth to Owen 316. I just broke your neck. Oh man, that was great. Number 9.
I had versus Triple H, No Way Out 01, the 3 Stages of Hell match.
Oh wow! Yeah. Now you're bringing it out.
Yep.
You're bringing it out way into the ring. You must have been the guy underneath the ring at Hell in the Cell last night, just grabbing.
Was that your hand? Let's see your hand. Was that your hand?
Oh man, that's I don't remember that match too much. What? Tell us about that.
Well, it was the first fall was a normal match. Stone Cold won that. The second fight was a street fight. Yeah. And then the third was it was a cage match, but it wasn't a cage match where
I remember
wanted to escape because Triple H ended up pinning him or whatever.
Okay.
All I know is it was right before WrestleMania that year. And so everything going on was like I was in tuned, like I wasn't missing a damn thing. I didn't think Triple H was going to win, but I guess that was almost like you didn't think he was going to win because Stone Cold was the one that was going to wrestle for the title.
Right.
So.
That's interesting. So that was kind of part of the grudge match because Triple H ran him over the car. Is that right?
Yeah, I think they were trying to give that some kind of a ending, but I mean
that was such a weird angle.
It was.
They didn't really pay it off that well. So
no,
especially having Rikishi as the driver. I did it for the Rock.
Which pretty much kind of ruined Rikishi. It just
really did. That's a good point.
Yeah. All right, number 8.
I had the Bash at the Beach match with Ricky Steamboat.
Ah, there you go.
Yep.
Was this off the top of my head? Was this was for the U.S. title, right?
U.S. title. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Actually, I'll have a little spoiler. I do have this one in my list as well.
And that's the thing. I don't have a whole lot of. I wasn't a real big fan of him in WCW. like I am in hindsight now, but back then, so this is, I mean, if I really had to pick one, it'd probably be that.
Right. He had Dragon Slayer on his tights, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty cool. And this was kind of a match that, like, Steamboat kind of gave him thumbs up on, I believe, too. Like, yep, because he was like, "What do I have to do to prove myself around here?" And this is also the pay-per-view where Hogan debuts at.
It was pretty much like the changing of the guard in WCW, because it was kind of like WCW was definitely different after Hogan showed up.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
And that's where I hate to get in the current product where I give Chris Jericho so much credit. Chris Jericho is what Hulk Hogan should have been to WCW.
Yes.
What he is to AEW today is what Hogan should have done to WCW. Hogan was just too damn selfish.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
That's the way I look at it. Again, I'm sidetracking, but there's just, but yeah, and that's part of why. I mean, Austin, of course, ultimately gets fired, but he wasn't happy, where he was at in WCW. He wasn't happy with his card
when Hogan and then, like, because Hogan had his like crop of dudes he brought in,
right?
And besides Sting and Flair that were already there, like, Arn Anderson was jobbing to like Renegade and shit, and a lot of guys that were good wrestlers were kind of getting relegated to like the Nasty Boys or Hacksaw Jim Duggan and nothing against those guys, but or Earthquake or whatever you want to call them, Avalanche or the Shark. You just saw that it was just a total like shift in how things were. I mean, Boogeyman showed up not too long, or the Butcher or whatever you wanted to call him.
Right.
So.
Yeah,
Stone Cold did not, or Steve Austin did not fit into that program.
No, he didn't. He didn't fit into those plans, and then I think his attitude got bad, and then he says it himself. I'd have fired me then too. Of course he was also injured or so, of course, but we're kind of sidetracking here, but we go into like those ECW promos, and he talks very heavily about. Hulk Hogan and being Steve Mania and whatnot, and he goes, "I'm not gonna do this shit anywhere." And he does a good job, over there, of course, and that's kind of what gets him signed to WWE. So, but yeah, kind of go back to this match. He asked Steamboat, "Hey, what do I need to improve?" Steamboat's like, "You're good."
And that was young Steve before he was injured, and he was a wrestler, and he threw down with Ricky Steamboat and had a toss, and he had tons of other good matches with Ricky Steamboat too.
Yeah, very, very, very good match there. All right, number 7.
I have WrestleMania 14.
WrestleMania 14, okay.
Down HBK, and for me, I mean, like we were saying, I love that match. For me, I think a lot of the reason I love that match is because. This is coming from my perspective. It was putting a death nail in the HBK era.
Yeah.
Because and this is just me as a fan then, I hated Shawn Michaels. I definitely stemming from Montreal, but even before that, I did not like him. And I was ready for someone to beat him, and I'm glad it was Stone Cold.
Yeah. Yeah. He definitely was a great foil to the Austin character at that point. Because I mean, Stone Cold, you got he's such a supernova, white hot.
Yeah.
And just a badass. You have to match him up with another badass,
Yep.
And how are you going to do that? Not only be a badass, but be a cocky badass,
Yep.
So I think that was the correct opponent, it'd be interesting, that some people said, oh, well, maybe you could put like a Ken Shamrock in that place or a Owen Hart, or even Bret, if Bret would have stayed.
Yeah.
If you have Bret versus Austin WrestleMania 14, I don't know if it accelerates him to the top,
It might. Yeah. I mean, they might have probably had a good match, but they'd already had a match at WrestleMania. They'd already had tons of matches, and it's kind of like it already had played itself out, Not to main event, WrestleMania again, or not even main event like before.
Right.
But we never had another Austin Michaels match. You think it's more special because of that?
That's a good point. Yeah, because HB comes back 2002, but Austin's he's took his ball went home, you know.
Yeah, and then when he came back, he only really like wrestled the one match.
Yeah,
his last match.
Yeah.
Yep.
He never really came back when he came back, if that makes sense.
Right.
It was weird. Right. I remember kind of not knowing what the hell's going on.
I think
would love to see another Michaels Austin match.
I think it could have been great. You know, Sean was pilled up, and I don't know if he was necessarily pilled up during the match, but you know, he was pilled up, Michaels, and he was hurt. You know, I don't know. You know, who's to say that it would have been a better match? That's a good point, Tom.
Yeah,
good point. That's why you're the staple.
I've been around a long time.
Number 6.
This is like I said, this is my list.
Yeah,
You get some oddities here and there. Breakdown 98 versus Kane and Undertaker.
Wow,
that was like
I do remember that.
Of what was going on,
and this was basically if he wins or if he loses, he can never be challenged for the title again.
And Kane and Undertaker could only pin Stone Cold, and there was a lot of stuff. You know, there was the whole like
it was some kabuki-ish rules for
yeah. And then they ended up both.
So
then they wrestled for a title the next month, and then that's what led to Survivor Series, the tournament or whatever.
The Deadly Games, okay, that is a good match. That was definitely a random match for sure.
Well, and at the time, I mean, I'm a huge Undertaker fan. I was then.
Okay.
That was back when Kane was legit.
Makes sense.
Liked Kane back then. So it was just.
They never Austin and the Undertaker never really had that superior match either. I mean, they had some good battles, but I mean, they had a couple. They had the 198. That was. My opinion it was okay.
Was that the Summerslam match when he knocked himself out? I was going to say that was a good match, though.
I like that match.
Okay. Yeah.
So good segue into number 5.
All right, number 5. Jeez,
with that being said, if the match might not have been as good as it should have been, the highway to hell, I was I could not have been more into wrestling in the summer of 98 than I was in the summer of 98.
Right.
My favorite band when I was 10 was AC/DC. So you know what I mean? It was
when you were 10.
Yeah. Well, it was my dad's favorite band, so it was my favorite band. But it just everything about that was cool. I remember and at the time I was a huge WCW fan and I liked WCW more.
Oh wow.
But those were my two favorite WWF guys main eventing that. So I was like, oh man. So it was awesome. I just remember that's the fondness of 1998 for Miles Weaver is like everything was perfect to me. Man, summer ended on a high note. I know that.
Hey, listen,
it was better than what WCW was doing.
If Stone Cold doesn't knock himself out, I wonder how much better the match can be.
And that's the thing. It's like we know so much stuff now from all the documentaries and everything where it's like, oh, maybe it is why it was kind of a funky match. Like they bonked heads, right? Is that what it was? Or
no, with the chair. Didn't he hit himself with the chair?
God! So something that like
he didn't. He knocked himself silly. He had no clue where he was for that match.
Yeah.
So.
For me, I remember being so amped for that match, watching it and be like, So that's kind of why it's not on my list. But
the one cool touch in that match that I liked that was I don't know if it was ad-libbed or whatever, but it was part of the storyline with Kane, where Kane came out to help him, and Undertaker sent him away, and he's like, "No, I got this." Yeah. I thought that was cool.
Yeah,
it was kind of like not quite Ultimate Warrior Hogan, but they were the two top baby faces, so it was cool that like he didn't beat him dirty or Stone Cold didn't lose. You know what I mean? It was
100%.
I like that part of it.
That set too was so cool though. With the gates and the looking like you're driving to hell. It's pretty cool. Number 4.
I have Bret Hart Survivor Series 96.
Okay.
Yes. The kind of like the first big match they had. I remember I had a Hitman Hart tape when I was a kid, and that was on it, and I watched the hell out of it.
Yeah,
he did the kind of like Roddy Piper finish, except instead of the sleeper, he did
we reversed it back. And Austin was still kind of using the $1 Million Dream too.
Yeah, he wasn't, he wasn't quite like remote, like he wasn't really babyface whatsoever yet. He was still full on heel, and
if you put the letter S in front of Hitman, you get my exact thoughts.
And like and looking back, I mean, I didn't know the time, but that was Bret's like comeback match after being gone after WrestleMania. So it was kind of a cool like comeback match where, like Stone Cold said, he blew him up. I know I saw that on Broken Skull Sessions.
Yeah, that's funny.
Speaking of which, Broken Skull Sessions is my favorite show on a WWE.
Doesn't that show rule? Oh my!
No, I haven't seen Mick Foley one yet.
I gotta watch the Mick Foley one tonight.
Yeah, I didn't see it yet either. But like when you listen to him talk to the people, and this is Stone Cold. This is why we love him. You could tell he still loves the product, and hearing him the way he washes it through his eyes just blows me away. It's just like, oh man,
I could listen to Stone Cold. Read the dictionary. I think he's so cool. He's funny. His show Straight Up with Steve Austin is cool. I mean, it's a little hokier than it should be, but it makes me laugh and I like it.
We'll start with the letter A. Start with the letter A. We're going to go with and then we're going to go with and. What? Oh, man. Number 3.
I have The Rock. WrestleMania 17.
Okay, all right.
And it would be higher, but the ending is the only thing that ruins it for me.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. It's a great match, but
I watched it live. It was phenomenal. Not in person, but on pay-per-view, and it was awesome. Right.
Yeah. It's definitely a great match, and like I said, we kind of already mentioned already. Just the ending should have been a little bit better there.
They could have saved the heel turn for like later.
Yeah, or not even done it at all.
Hey, listen, that's probably the reason why they're so hesitant to turn their top stars heel anymore. The baby faces.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right, because John Cena for the longest time now. John Cena's talking about wanting to go heel.
Yeah.
Y'all talked about that on the debate, right? Is that where I heard that at?
Did we? I think so.
Oh, no.
That sounds familiar.
But yeah. Anyways, I can't remember if it was on the debate or just on the regular tavern. I heard it today, so as I was driving. But yeah, it would be interesting to see how it would have played out without the heel turn for sure.
Yeah.
So, number 2.
Dude Love Over the Edge, 98.
Ooh, I like that one.
Man.
It's a straight banger of a match.
Oh, it's good. No, it's a great match for sure. You have Austin in there who kind of McMahon in there who, he gets knocked out and he counts to 3. Austin counts to 3 with his hand. It's a good one for sure. And there's a lot of good psychology in that, because the reason why he's Dude Love is because he's kind of turning on the fans a little bit.
Right. He's like corporate Dude Love.
Right. Yep. right. And, he's kind of sick of how the fans treated him based off of an actual reaction the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania 14, where he's in the corner. He's getting embarrassed, and, fans are cheering Austin. He's not getting that pop that he wants, So I think that's very highly underrated, that match.
It is, and that was
just in general.
That's
so
fresh off of him winning the title, so it's like,
it's
his first run as the champ, and
it's a great first person to go up against.
It was cool,
too.
Yeah. It's like you wouldn't have expected it, so it was cool that it was not only Mick Foley, but it was Dude Love.
Mm-hmm.
So it made me appreciate Dude Love, because I thought he was a goof at first,
right,
all the way, and it was cool that they put that twist, like almost corporate Dude Love,
right,
or corporate Mankind before corporate Mankind. It was he was like Vince's hired gun in a way.
Right. All right, you're number 1.
WrestleMania 13.
Ah, my guy.
It's the match is awesome, of course. two of my favorite wrestlers of all time, but it definitely, you know, like I said, the double switch, everything that goes into the match, it pretty much like represents Stone Cold on all levels.
Right.
Because he didn't change the way he was.
Yeah.
He went out bleeding like a stuck pig, screaming, the blood's streaming down his teeth. I remember just like, it was just, it's not a perfect, I mean, there's no such thing as a perfect match, but they did everything right in that, you know, where, like I said, Bret turned heel because he didn't do anything different except he attacked Stone Cold, which he was supposed to be the bad guy. And then that's what led, because I just watched Wrestling with Shadows last night, so I'm pretty fresh on Bret. But that led into Bret. They turned on Bret for Bret wanting to keep beating up Stone Cold after he beat him, you know?
Yep.
So it's awesome. It's an awesome match, and it pretty much, you know, turned the corner for Stone Cold.
Yeah, 100%. That was probably if you had to make a list of the top 5 WWF matches in history, or WWE matches, that's probably got to be in there.
Yeah,
just because of what it meant. Bret turning bad, Austin turning face. It was just amazing.
Yeah,
the blood, that picture. You just always think of that picture.
It's perfect. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's good. Now I'm going to run through my list real quick because I'm going to pretty much have a good bit of them already. Some of them we've already talked about. So real quick, number 10, I've got Austin. We already talked about it. Austin versus Dude Love again. And kind of like how we already talked about real quick, Austin versus Dude Love. I think he's just a great opponent, fresh out of the gate. And you can kind of establish at the same time, put the McMahon stuff on the back burner, keep putting it on the back burner until it's ready to explode. And
plus it was nice seeing Mick main event.
Yeah,
that's true. Main evented a whole lot. I mean, he had the match with Shawn, you know, the year before, but he didn't really get his, you know, spotlight like that.
Right. So this one is one we have not talked about. And this is Clash of the Champions. I think it's 24.
Ooh.
Austin versus Pillman. Yeah. I'm a huge Pillman fan, as I am Austin. This is kind of, Pillman's turned face here. Austin's got Robert Parker in his corner. People don't remember that he was his manager for a little while, which was kind of strange.
Yeah.
But man, this was just yes. And this was, for me, and I obviously this is, I'm wearing rose-colored glasses on this because I enjoy this match now. But as a kid, I didn't really, I didn't even realize what was going on, honestly. But just as an Austin match, I just love these two together. It's unfortunate we never really saw them too much in WWE. We saw, of course, the Pillman 9mm moment, but we never really saw a match from the top of my head. Right?
No, it's too bad. Pillman's run in '97 was obviously he passed away, but it was so much left undone.
Right.
True.
Yeah, so much. And so actually this week I'll have one of my buddies. He's actually a guitar player, played for 12 Stones. They actually are the ones that did the Nexus theme.
Oh wow!
And he talks about he actually this week he actually picked a Pillman match. We watched Pillman versus Goldust, the last pay-per-view match, and it's just so sad to kind of watch him in the ring, because he's definitely hurting. Yeah. You could see him, Goldust, he works the ankle a little bit here and there, but he keeps grabbing for that ankle. It wasn't until Dark Side of the Ring until I actually noticed that, and I was actually looking for it, and we pointed out this week. So, my number 8 is Austin versus Jericho at Vengence 2001.
Ooh.
This is when, of course, Jericho gets anointed as the undisputed champion. I just think this match is just so great for so many reasons. You got a little bit of McMahon thrown in there. You have a heel Jericho, and then Austin. This is kind of the end of the Austin era, as we know it. He never becomes champion after this.
I'll say right now, I was all in on Jericho back then. So
yeah,
I wasn't. I mean, I liked Stone Cold more, but Jericho deserved it.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, absolutely. I remember being so stoked that Jericho actually did it because I didn't think there was a chance he was going to.
No, after they did that reverse title on Triple H, I remember I was like,
"Oh yeah, yeah."
Yeah.
And it, I just think, I like how the way they did it. It's more to kind of, I guess it's more about Jericho here, but it was just such a great match too. So, my number 7 is Austin versus Shane and Vince, King of the Ring.
Yes,
99
with the briefcase getting raised.
Yes.
Wow, good one.
So this is, of course, Austin is CEO of the WWF, and man, those those packages they did, him in the office, him with the accountant and the boardroom, and he opens up his briefcase, he's got a bunch of natural lights. So he's taken over the WWF. He's now the CEO. And then, of course, Shane and Vince have a match. This is such Attitude Era.
It's fun.
101 for me.
I remember
just everything about it.
But it was fun.
Now it's nothing compared to today.
Yeah. And then you have, I like the set, too. I remember the set very fondly because you have a bunch of ladders in there. And they use pieces of the set against each other.
Yeah.
So it's pretty fun. And then, so the ending, of course, he's the briefcase. He's almost getting there. Nope, not today, Junior, not today. So of course, Austin, somebody comes out and helps him win. But Austin and Shane, of course, grab the briefcase and become the owners again of the WWF. My number 6, we've talked about this one already. Austin versus Steamboat, Match of the Beach. 94. And kind of we talked about it already. Just Austin at that time, if you watch it, go back and watch it. He's a great heel going up against the ultimate babyface in Ricky Steamboat. And it's a great match. He's got the Dragon Slayer on his tights. I would love that as an elite, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
What a different style of wrestling he had back then too, compared to when he became Stone Cold.
Oh, and that's a good point too. That's a very good point, Tom. So he's taking more risks, but after the neck injury, he becomes more of a brawler at that point. Yeah,
he didn't need to do all that stuff anymore. He was so over as being an ass whooper,
right?
Luthez press, a few other things were thrown in there,
right.
And the fans just ate it up,
right? Yeah, and he was so good. My number 5 is one we've already talked about, all three of us, Austin versus HBK. I think this is the only one, or this is only one so far on the list that we've all three had.
Did we put that at number 5? Did we all have it at number 5? I think we did.
No, I don't. I have it at 7 on mine.
Yeah.
It was number 5. I don't know why I thought that. Okay.
Yeah. So, of course, we've kind of beat that one to death here. Talking about this one. Okay, here's one we haven't talked about too much, and I think it's not the greatest wrestling match, but I think for what it is, Austin versus McMahon, St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
Ooh, the debut of the Big Show.
Just purely out of it being fun to watch.
Yeah.
Dude, you didn't even put it on your honorable mentions.
It's more, to me, I guess, when I was a kid, I remembered it more because that was when Big Show debuted.
Right.
Which was cool. I remember flipping out. The Giant was in WWF. But
right.
It's going back now. It's fun. I guess I don't like Vince. I like watching Stone Cold beat up on him.
Right, and then actually Vince breaks his tailbone in this match. He does that.
Oh, he had to have, yeah.
He does that bump from the cage down on the announce table, and he bounces.
Yeah.
He bounces, and then it comes down, breaks his tailbone. Ouch.
I'm a little disappointed in myself. I didn't have this on my list.
Wow. It's a good one, man. That's good.
That's top 20. Yeah.
And then my number 3, we've talked about this one. This was on Miles. Austin versus Hart, Survivor Series 96. Again, we talked about it. This is Bret coming back. This is the anointing of Austin. I think this solidifies Austin 316 right here. And then it's like, okay, all right. Well, maybe there is something to this guy, at least for me. But I was such a big Bret Hart fan, so happy that he's back. And there's no way that I was like going for Austin. I was so happy he actually won this match. And my number 2 is Austin versus probably his greatest opponent, in my opinion, The Rock, WrestleMania 17. This is another one I think we've all had this on this list. Again, you can't overlook Austin versus The Rock. You can't talk about Austin without talking about The Rock. They just go, and they go hand in hand. They're
like peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah. And then my number 1, Austin versus Hart, WrestleMania 13. So me and you, Miles, we got the same number 1, absolutely, without a doubt. Such a great match. So
that was my number 1 on the corrected list. Right there, I got it. It's gone now. Right there. There's the corrected one. Where is it? Come up. It won't focus.
It won't focus. We believe you.
I'm gonna send you a screenshot.
All right. Well, that was super fun. I think we're pretty close with our ideas. As far as what we got. Anything that you could think of as we're talking about that we missed?
Like I said, just how awesome he still is. Like he's just now getting commercials. Still, people still know him. It's like the Broken Skull Sessions. He's got the other one on the USA Network, and man, the guy still if you're in an arena and that Broken Glass plays, everybody just goes nuts to this day.
Let me tell you something. Okay, so you see this jersey? Oops, right there. Okay, Drew Brees. Yep. Okay, I'm obviously a Louisiana native. Drew Brees is like God. Okay, there's crawfish, Drew Brees, and he's all around there. Okay, Drew Brees is God around here. So I was at WrestleMania 30. That glass broke. I've been to many Saints games and like playoff games, right? And where it's gotten so loud. I've never heard anything so loud in the Superdome was when Austin's glass broke. It was kind of a surprise when it happened, but I kind of knew he was going to be there, but I didn't know in that what time and how it was going to go down. And that glass broke. You're like, yes. It was wild for sure. And you're kind of thinking like, is he gonna try to drop Hogan here? Like, and then The Rock comes out and you're kind of like, okay, all right. We got a couple figures. What you got there, Miles? What kind of figures you got?
I pretty much have like most of his Bone Crunchers.
Yeah.
At least my favorite ones. This was mine, like as my favorite one as a kid. The jeans.
Yeah.
Just for playability.
Right.
I got his Bendham, which was re-released a bunch of times. I got his Retro, and then the one Funko that I have of his.
One Funko. Cool deal.
It's like the one where he's got the belt, but not the 2 belts.
Yeah.
I've got
the 7-Eleven exclusive one. I think has like 2 belts.
Oh yeah, he's got the tag team.
I got that one. Yeah.
I've got the best of Attitude Era.
Yeah.
That's a great figure. I have that.
This is so great. And like we were talking about the Stone Cold University. I wish it said Class of 316 on the back, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
The recently released Ultimate Edition
is it
9.
The Ultimate?
Yes, is the
That's
Ultimate.
A great figure too.
Yeah.
The back here with the broken skull or the smoking skull.
Yep.
The Ringmaster. The Ringmaster's right here. And then We've got.
There we go.
Oh, that one. I've got that one too. That's a great one too.
Another great one.
Yeah. Then the recently released Stunning Steve Austin one. Yeah, Tom, you got that Hall of Fame one back there. I can see.
I just recently got this.
What is that? That's just a bobblehead.
Bobblehead.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
Are
I got
those
the
on
whole
WWE
collection.
Shop?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's like a set of how do I have? There's Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man, Kane, Undertaker, and Ric Flair, and Stone Cold.
Right. Okay.
Nice. And then, as you can see, I'm sporting my Austin 316 vest.
I don't even know. I got this one right here. Is it going to focus on him?
That's also defining moments, is it?
Is it with the thing on the back?
It looks like it.
Because you know I buy every one to keep loose and open, like one mint and.
Yeah, that looks like that's defining moments, for sure. So
it is actually. I just compared it. Okay, that's what happens. I buy 2 or 3 of everything. I got to stop that. It's too expensive. What am I doing?
I know. Well, fellas, any last words on the toughest SOB?
Nope.
I'll say this, man. I with having kids, I have 2 daughters, and I'm engaged. They are Stone Cold fans. They think he's cool.
That is cool.
Because I watch Broken Skull Sessions. I put it on. I watch Straight Up with Steve Austin. I made them watch WrestleMania 13. I imitate him all the time. Every time I drink beer, I have to say something Stone Cold says. He's become like Macho Man or like Warrior. I have a handful of wrestlers that like my family.
Wow.
All about him, And Stone Cold especially has become one. So I'll just say that he's just he's not passed away like Macho Man or Warrior, but he's living on now. Through younger people. Just goes to show you the dude's over, and he really was the most popular wrestler ever when he was.
Yep. Absolutely.
It really was.
Well, thank you guys for joining me for this debut episode of The List. Stone Cold,
thank you for having me.
Made the list.
Thank you.
We will be back next month with a brand new topic. And look, if this takes off, man, who's to say we won't do this weekly? I don't know. But this has been pretty fun. So we'll see you guys next month. Hopefully you two can join me for the list. That's what I want. All right. And, of course, peace, love, and happiness.